organization aiming to pull one family at a time out of poverty through skill development and employment. He is a skilled photographer, a social worker, a chief chef, and a traveler and a coffee lunatic. Welcome, Mr. Tejah.
Thank you for that introduction. Sorry, I couldn't get your name. Nikhil. Nikhil. Thank you, Nikhil, for that. Hello, everybody. My name is Tejah Jalluri. I'm from Vizag, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, basically. So here I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I try to participate in as many as the ANA events and other Ambedkarite events across in the Midwest. Thanks to Mahesh and everybody, I'm able to be a part of this. Today, so when during our Ambedkar Jayanti celebrations, we had touched a little bit about wealth and entrepreneurship, and then we wanted to discuss a little bit more into that aspect. So today here, I'm not an financial expert or anything, but I'm going to share the activity that I've done in the world of financials, and then the knowledge of I have a little bit of knowledge that I have in the financial world. I want to share that and today, and the primary reason is the primary reason being I know. Sorry, before we continue, I saw in the chat that there is it better to I'm not a big can't speak fluently in Hindi, but is it okay if I continue in English? Hello.
Yeah, please proceed. Yeah, English is fine. Yeah.
English is
Yeah,
fine.
not a problem.
Okay. Not a problem. Okay, thank you much. Yeah, so today's topic, Mahesh was asking about the topic name and everything. I thought entrepreneurship. I thought about entrepreneurship and the problems we have to get into that, to become one, and what are the opportunities that lay in front of us. Does that mean all the opportunities that are available, can we grab those opportunities? Can we take those opportunities or not? So I'll give a little bit of background of how things, a little small history story of what Ambedkar has envisioned and the sequence of things that he has envisioned. So for us, during our independence, even before independence, we know Dr. Ambedkar was fighting for a power, right? Fighting for power for Dalits, power for the underprivileged people, without which, he knew that, with our Varna system and everything, he knew without power, we will not be able to do anything. So the sequence of events that he designed was you need a political reservations, right? He thought about this idea even before independence. So you need political reservations, and I'm sure all of you know about the Pune Pact and how it is a setback for us. The impact of that is even felt today. So you need political reservations to be able to not just represent ourselves, but to create opportunities for our people, right? We have to represent our own interests from our own people. And there is a strong reason for that, because others will not do that for us. So he wanted to have some political reservations to, have some power of say in making laws and doing activities that will benefit our people who are underprivileged and underserved. So from that, we could use those laws and opportunities to create wealth. And through that and through that wealth we could create the social equality. So he wanted politics and then wealth and then the social equality. But today if you see, we are in a reverse section. We're going around. We are nowhere. We do not have any political power. Hence, the laws are all being repealed or diluted. Um, and then, there's nowhere to create wealth anywhere, be it here or be it in India's wealth creation situation is even worse. And so there's no, social justice or social equality. So that's not happening. So the cycle we're trying to do is actually in a reverse trend. However, in today's world, unfortunately, you need wealth to get into politics to make those laws. So it's all intertwined within itself. So today, what is happening? What is the state of us? So the biggest challenge that we have today is that, not just today, but the biggest challenge for this community is that we were not allowed access. So that's a biggest problem. And I'd like to draw a parallel between African Americans and us, because we lead parallel lives. Just in case if anybody is still not aware of that, please be aware that both of us, both African Americans and Indian Dalits, we lead very parallel lives. There's a big difference, and then that plays a key role is that they had access to the houses. The slaves had access to the houses of their masters. So they knew, so they had access, even though they don't not learn or did not have so much of power in them, but they do see how they're, how they speak, how they clothe, what they read, how they use their ammunition, right? They had a basic information of how things happen, right? But us Dalits, we were put outside of the access to information, access to life itself. Even today, I'm not sure how many of your ancestral places are outside the village, but still, my grandfather's home, even today in 2023, is outside the actual village. So what does this create? These are the barriers that have been created over centuries, right? Our millennia. We're not allowed into the main street. We're not allowed into. There's no access to information, right? So what does that do? We don't know how business is conducted. We don't have knowledge. There's no education. It's far away. The clothing, right? We don't know, forget about usage of weapons. We don't know how to revolt. That's how the mental barrier that have been created. So even after independence, after these many years of independence, we are still the courage to fight back is still not there. We're still gathering it. We're doing it in small groups. However, we have to, accelerate this process. So how do you do that? How do you accelerate the fight, right? One way to do it is if you have the power. Right now, the power of wealth is dominating everything else. So we got to get into that wealth game. It's evident and it's important that we get into the wealth game. But we have numerous barriers to get into it. I'll give you a real time couple of scenarios of what is happening in India with my own family. So my brother, he finished his master's. He always wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? He always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and then he went back to India, and he's like, okay, I need to, set up shop for myself, and he started doing his groundwork. Like, what type of business do I get into? What are the opportunities that are outside? What are his friends doing? Right? What are other people, connections and all of others are doing? in the market. So he started researching all of that. And then he said, I want to start small. So in Bangalore, there is a trade show that is happening every year. It's one of the biggest trade shows that happen. So he went there, and he was astonished to see the scale of the trade show. There's so much trade happening in India across, and people are earning millions and billions through this, especially when you have a limited tax codes. Any law can be bent for anything. So he picked up a small food franchisee. It is it's an egg. It's omelets. People in the United States can. I'm sure IHOP. It's something a mix of an IHOP and a KFC. So we thought it's nice. It's a small budget. So where do you get the budget from? Where do you get the investment? We don't have any investment, any dollars or any rupees to invest directly, right? So he started looking at what are the ways to get an investment, especially for Dalits. Like, what are the provisions in the government? So he started looking into that. Can anybody believe there are tons and tons of schemes on the paper, right? On the paper, schemes on the paper that are supposed to fund Dalit entrepreneurship. We did not know that. We did not know that was there. Like, there's so many organizations at the state level, at government entities, at a federal level. There's so many departments. There's so many. There's small and medium scale industries. There's one for food and beverages. There's one for exports, imports. There's so many avenues that are supposed to help us get there, right? Supposed to help us create wealth. Supposed to help us get into that power equation. Supposed to help us deliver the social equality. These are all imbibed into our constitution. These are all inside the laws. Thanks to the one and only great person, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. But what is happening today? We don't have access to all of that. You know what happens when you go to one of these departments and request for a loan, for an investment loan? They ask you all sorts of documentations, which obviously you do not have. That's the reason you're going for a loan. You don't have a collateral that can fund you 2 crore rupees, right? If we have 2 crore rupees, why would we, go about doing all of those things, right? We don't have it. We are here to request for whatever the law provides, right? So it discourages you so much. It's just like a revolving circle. Like, just like the earth revolves around the sun, you got to revolve around these officers continuously, day in and day out, and then so finally, after a lot of months, my brother was able to. Again, this is because of who my father was. He worked at high positions, high ranks in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So he's able to, with his connections, he's able to, get through the barriers. But imagine a common man trying to do that with an idea. That will be a nightmare. You will be so discouraged that you will leave everything and do about something else. So we got it. We got the funding from a department. There is a department called Dicky in Andhra Pradesh, for the state of Andhra Pradesh, where it secures funds for Dalit entrepreneurship. So we got it. So finally we set up shop. And then what happened? So I come from, like I told you earlier, I come from Vizag. And then in Vizag, the food and beverage industry is controlled by two castes, two communities in the area. We didn't know that. So we set up shop and then we started running it. And we observed people sitting outside on motorcycles and bicycles and cars, just observing. We thought, just people just hang around places. We thought, oh, it's just common. So we started seeing same faces, um, like at least 3-4 times a week, just sitting outside and waiting. We tried to catch a couple of them, actually, but they ran away. And then we started talking to other entrepreneurs, like other Dalit entrepreneurs, and then like, why is this happening? Why are people sitting outside our businesses and just watching and doing? And we also started seeing negative reviews on the like in the United States, you have Yelp and Google Maps. So similarly in India, you have Zomato's and all of these places for reviews. So we started seeing negative reviews, and then we talked to other entrepreneurs, and then we learned that the food and beverage industry is controlled in Visakhapatnam, especially by two castes, and then so it seems you have to get into their circle, you have to register with them, get into their circle, and then do all of those rituals that they do within themselves, which includes a lot of law enforcement, lawyers, and all of those things. So we started seeing our sale go down with all of these activities, because once your reviews are down, your sale also automatically trends down. Then we it was like a culture shock in my own city for everybody. Like, so the barriers. So the story I'm telling about is because of the barriers of entry. If it's in India, you will not. You have to. Caste comes first, as everybody knows. You have to. So I tell you, these are the sequence of things that happen: caste, cash, and bureaucracy. These are the three big barriers that we have in India. And another short example, and I'll move on, is that so my brother also was in lottery. A fuel station was assigned to him in a lottery. So in India, if you want a fuel station, you have to go through a process. It's a lottery process, and they pick up. If you're lucky, you get it. Otherwise, not. But my brother's lucky; he got one. And since the and again, we had to go through the same process, the bureaucracy of things, and then securing funds. It's a huge investment. So finally, he was revolving around everybody for 1 year, but he got it after 1 year. We set up, the fuel station. So then what happens? The local MLA comes in, and then he asks for a share. He did nothing. He didn't even help with the paperwork, but he asks for a share. And then the the local police, they come in, they fill up tanks and tanks of gas, and they don't pay. Apart from this, again, the same problem. The fuel station owners, the neighboring fuel station owners, they started a false propaganda saying that these folks are not disposing petrol, they're mixing kerosene in it. And to add to this, there's every day that people trying to cheat you. They say that, hey, give me a loan for 1 day. I take 100 gallons of petrol. You loan it for 1 day, and then next day I'll pay off those for that 100 gallons, and then I'll take another 100 gallons. So you try to in the Indian context is that instead of doing business, you have this whole nonsense surrounding it. You need to take care of all these people. So do you do that, or do you run a business? Right. That's the biggest challenge that we ran into. And we escaped a lot of cheaters, but we got, we're only humans. You can only escape so many. So after a few months, we got caught. We got caught for a big amount, and we were cheated. So these barriers will discourage. So what, for example, you think somebody going through all of this, and all of my cousins and everybody got excited when my brother started as an entrepreneur, because we thought we could, my family is into a lot of social work, so we thought like we could help families through employment, we could revive local economy. These were all the big ideas, big thoughts that we had. And then all these things happen. So what does it do? Psychologically, the people, again, I'm telling you, this is because of my father's position. He's retired now, but his position in the state government, his connections is what got to us. Got us all of this in 1 year. So you can imagine what would happen, if you just walk in with an idea. Even if if you know somebody, the biggest problem is you got to know somebody, and then you have to push it. You have to push it to get things done. They will not give you nothing, not even 1 rupee, even though I'm telling you, we are entitled to get that wealth. We are entitled because of all the sufferings, because of what had happened over the millennia. We are entitled, I can confidently say that, for all those benefits that we should receive, rightly so. However, nothing's going to happen. So what does it do? When all these were happening to my brother, our friends around us, from the underprivileged community, even, the poor people from upper caste and all of these people, everybody got scared. Everybody in and around us got scared, thinking that, hey, if it took you so much to kickstart a business, even this is not like it's not like a brand new idea. These are all existing centuries old businesses, fuel station and food. And then everybody got so discouraged. Like, if it takes so much power to get things done, we don't have so many connections, and we cannot push people. So it psychologically, again, the biggest problem is the psychological barriers, right? Those, unfortunately, they get built up even higher when so many barriers, there's so much struggle to get into the system of entrepreneurship, of business. So this is the context of Indian scenario. So now you think, you won't believe my brother. He's fed up with all of this, and he's planning to come back to the United States. So that's the harsh reality of how things happen, how we are discouraged so badly. One thing you cannot fight, and especially from Indian country, one thing you cannot compete with is the cash. The amount of black money that has been generated in my in the previous, my father's like 80s and through 90s and all of those years. So they are funding their kids with black money, with hard cash. There is no way on earth you can compete with it. I've seen it all firsthand. I was trying to make a lot of deals, enter a lot of business areas in India through our own process, right? Through these government programs and all of that. By the time you get a proposal and you get to the deal, there's somebody with hard cash hard cash standing there. Like, how do you compete with that? How can you convince a person on the opposite end saying that, hey, I'm interested, I'll be willing to do this business, but to get my investment is going to take, like couple months, versus somebody else is standing beside me with 1 crore hard cash right now. So he's going to pay the price, and he's going to pay more than the asking price right now, versus me standing in the queue for 2 months, and there's no guarantee for it. And even, we negotiate with the asking price for the business. So these structures, the social structures that have been created, they're very hard to get through. It's not easy. But having all said all of these things, but what do? We should not stop. We have to be resilient. That's how we become successful. Resilience, it takes longer time than the other person, but we have to be resilient to be successful, to get our foot inside. We have to force our foot inside. We have to stomp it. But from my little experience, we can stomp if we are together. If we are collective, we are together, we can stomp and we can push ourselves through those barriers. It is not easy. So the biggest barriers that we have is we need to trust each other. We need to trust each other to become a collective power. And when you become a collective, when you collect ourselves together, then we can become a bigger force. When you become a bigger force, we can get through those barriers. So here, I would like to recommend few things, especially in the United States. It's important that we follow people who are making money. You need to follow rich people to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I don't know how many of you take advantage of television, but there is a Shark Tank. I would recommend everybody to watch all the series of Shark Tanks. It would trigger some ideas yourselves. You might have already had those ideas. So it gives you confidence that, hey, okay, my thought process is not obsolete. My thought process, it's not is not relevant, right? So once you watch all those Shark Tanks, I would highly recommend, the Shark Tanks in different countries, different seasons. We do that. Please watch it. Some or the other idea, you might have already thought of it. So that would give you a good boost up of, like validating your ideas. Like idea is one thing, doing business and actually implementing it is another thing. We would have a million ideas, but actually implementing it takes a lot more than an idea, an execution, a business plan. So I'd like to recommend watching that. And then anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship and business, I would definitely recommend you making a business plan. It's very important. That's what validates your idea at a first level, right? If you follow through the business plan, and then, if you're able to answer all those questions, and then that would give you a validation. Is my idea worth investment? Is there going to be a return on investment? So that, and then in social media, you have so many people, individual contributors out there, individual content creators who actually worked in Wall Street, who actually worked through these financial institutions, who are going to give us a lot of insights I would say, and Netflix is there's somebody called as Rich BFF. That's one person I usually follow. And there's one more account called I think Trillionaires. I follow that, and there's one more person called Dave Ramsey. I'll put all of these in the chat. Dave Ramsey. So these are all the financial advisors, if you may say. They would help you. You can see different life scenarios of how people are doing investments, how they're managing money, and you can get some ideas for that. All this content, you need to consume it. Just like you're committed to your family lives, everybody here are committed to your family lives. You should also commit yourself to financial health. Financial health, not just for the well-being of your family, but like I said, all these trickle-down effects that comes with it. And then there's one more. There's a Netflix series on money. There are 3 Netflix series on money. Everybody should watch them. They're very important. Everybody should watch them. It'll tell you one person has this whole journey of how he created wealth, given the opportunities. So we should all watch them. So now, ideas, we have ideas, we want to do that. We see all these online and we think, hey, why can't I do that? So then comes, when you're doing your business plan, one of the key pieces is, apart from the idea, is the investment. So how do you do that? I've done some trading over the years. And if you think about it, for example, Apple, each stock, $1,000 something. It's been a minute I've watched all those stocks, but Apple stock is so much. Google stock is, or $1,000, $2,000 and all of that. So how much can you buy? And without certain volume, you will not be seeing any wealth generation, right? You need to have certain part of money. So how do you do that? That's where, like I said, the trust comes in again. Partner with your trusted friends or family that even without signing a paperwork, you still believe this person, and you're ready to partner with this person for an investment. So I would definitely say, pull up the money, right? Let's pull up the money. Let's go to our trusted people. Let's talk to them, and then let's pull up money. Let's create a big pot. Just like, I don't know how many of you people play Powerball and all of that. Usually, I partner with my office colleagues. I just put in like $10, $20, but the pot, $10, $20 each person, the pot becomes, like $1,000, right? And then, you use those $1,000 to buy Powerball tickets and all of that. I mean, we haven't won that, but unlike Powerball, you could use that same logic to invest. $2,000 each, you pull up like $10,000, $20,000 with your trusted partners and friends and all of these people. And then, you can do stock trading also. So during stock trading, one advice I would definitely give, I've learned this from, I've read about this from our big investors, Berkshire Hathaway, and then my friends and we've implemented the same. Only invest in products and organizations that either you use them or you have a great knowledge about them, right? Those are the only risks, because we cannot just, it's kind of a gambling bet when you go into the stock market, but you don't gamble blind. We don't we don't have that luxury to just risk the money. So even though the returns are low, always invest in something that you use or something you have a great knowledge of. Apple products, a lot of us use them. We know how they function, and we know why people buy Apple products, right? and it has a lot of cash, so the company is not going to go bankrupt even if one or two products fail. And it is present globally, so even one country's market is down, it can pick up in another country. So you got to think about all of these aspects when you invest in any company in stock market. Again, these are all basics. These are not super complicated things. These are all basics. Everybody can do it. Um, and if you just follow the trend, you see you have a lot of electronics. So electronic companies are a good place to invest. Um, at one point of time, my friends and I, we made like 400% on Nvidia. Everybody, Nvidia is the chip company. It's growing exponentially high. It's growing even crazy high these days. So we got to think about everything that's around us. We work with electronics, so think about the electronic companies that we have. Computing is it's getting into everything, so we think about computing organizations. Something like that. Coca-Cola, even though it's bad for your health, nobody's stopping anywhere future. In the near future, nobody is going to stop drinking Coca-Cola. Um, so you can invest in that. But again, if you're socially conscious, avoid those sugar companies, and you can invest in other companies. So my tip here is that investment by knowledge, either it's experience or it's by knowledge. Um, and then one more thing is that we we think that investment for making an investment, we have to first save ourselves and then do invest. Never do that. You see, Apple has millions and billions of dollars in cash, but they still take loans. There is a reason for that. You don't just burn cash. You go to any rich persons, any organizations, they take bank loans. That's a you have to evaluate your risk. You don't want to put all your cash into a business which you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. So what I would say is always take loans. This might sound crazy, but I did the same. I did not have money when I was, working, partner with my friend. So in the United States, you have opportunities to take credit, right? If you're already a US citizen or green card holder, I think you can take loans from straight up from the banks and other organizations. You can lend, but for people like me, I'm on H-1B. I don't know in my living lifetime if I'll be going into citizenship and stuff. But so for us, what do we do? I'm sure a lot of people have taken car loans, but how many of you know there is a bank called DCU in Massachusetts where you could take 120, 130% of your asset value, which means your car is 10,000, right? You could take $12,000, $13,000 loan when you take the car loan. And car loans are cheap. They're very cheap. And you give it for like 5 or 6 years. So you have that extra 3,000 cash. So you need to take that cash. For example, you bought the car loan for a 2% interest, right? So your initial goal should be, if you're a starting entrepreneur, your initial goal should be, I take this 3,000, I have long time, right? But you should not think about 5 years. So you think about, I take this 3,000, the next 1 year, I need to make more than 3%. I need to make more than 3% so that the additional loan I took from my car, right, for the car, your initial, if you're a starting person, always think about breaking even. Breaking even is very important in business. So after 1 year, you make sure you make the 3,000 plus the 3% interest. So then you're good. In the second year, because you get a long term for the cards, like 5 years, 3 to 5 years. In the second year, what do? With that experience, you can you can think about doubling that money, right? So 3,000 plus the 3% interest, you see that as your initial investment now. So take that and then you double that money. You think about how do you double that money in the next 1 year. So 3,000 should be 4,000 plus that 6% interest at that time. Um, so you have to think in a strategic way. You have to we all of us have to change our mindset. We are hardwired to not do business. We're hardwired to work for somebody, especially from our community. They say that it is even difficult. You won't believe when my brother when he was my parents were trying to get him married. They were talking to several people. It was very hard to convince our own community people to say that businesses are good. Um, you can marry your daughter to a person who's doing business than somebody who's doing a 9 to 5 job. It was very hard to convince people, and then those perspectives, especially our communities think, all of this is a huge risk where we will not be successful because of all the barriers I was talking earlier in the meeting. You have so many barriers, and people see that all the time through one person or the other person, through somebody that they know that tried to do business as a Dalit, and then they're not getting anywhere. So that's how hard it is. So that's how we're hardwired. And then again, the reality of it is, it's happening. I'm not saying it's just some fog in the mind. In reality, it is difficult to do business, but still, we have to think about how to take credit, how to manage wealth, and all of that. Apart from from the car loans, we also can do balance transfers on credit cards. I'm sure all of your in the United States, you see credit cards have credit card statements or offers come home say that, hey, 3% cash back, 3% balance transfer. Same principle. You take the money, how much ever you think is a safe bet, or how much ever you think is needed for your investment. You take it again. Your goal has to be in the next 1 year, you make that money plus that interest, you break even. And then, like I said, in the next venture, again, you can again do balance transfer. Every year you get balance transfers from, Bank of America to DCU to MX. So revolve your credit. It's important, you have that option, and you can revolve your credit, as long as you maintain your credit score and at a good level. You can revolve your credits, and then you can keep investing on these. Turo, like I said in one of those things, Turo and Get Around is something I've involved with my friends. That has yielded good results, especially during the pandemic. Um, like I said, it's important to have a trusted group of people. That's the core of it. It's important to have a trusted group of people, and it's important to have to be connecting with people with similar ideas. That's very much needed, and that moves us to our last piece of things that I want to discuss today. The Gujarati communities, some of the Punjabi communities, and some of the communities from Andhra Pradesh, right? They all gather and trust each other just in the name of caste. That's it. The only thing that binds them everything together is only caste. That is the most, excuse my language, I saw some kids, but that's the most nasty thing that could be done. It's because of your color of your skin, or because of all of that. Just trusting people on an imaginary hierarchy, right? That has been created in our brain, the hierarchy, and just trusting them because you're at the top level. Okay, I trust you. That's the most stupid thing, but they do it. They do it. They progress. They make more wealth. They make 10 times, 100 times more wealth. Um, and then if you look at those, if you read, I have some Gujarati friends, and I asked them like, how could you have a lot of real estate in the United States? How are only Gujarati communities having so many hotels, motels, and all of that? And they simply just trust. They pull up money, they pull up cash. Some of them go with the loans if they're at low interest rate. Otherwise, those loans are provided by another wealthy person for that same interest loan. He makes more money. This guy don't need to worry about every month's bank payments because they have a different payment schedules, arrangements when they do this through peer-to-peer transactions. And they're just you. I'm sure if you travel, you'll see a lot of Gujarati motels all across the United States. So they're doing it real estate, and then land. Everybody knows, land is a big power. Land equals power. You have to understand that equation. Land equals power. The more land you have, the more power you wield. And so you see some people from Andhra Pradesh, some communities from Andhra Pradesh, they started buying up lands and they're in the construction business in Texas. I've been pulled into some of those discussions. So when you listen to all of those thoughts, it just astonishes you that the idea, you and me will also have the same idea. We know that we can, real estate mints a lot of money. Everybody knows it. It's not a rocket science. It's not about Elon Musk sending Starship to Mars. It's just buying piece of land where it's, sellable, and then you build houses and sell it. Simple as that. But can you do it? That's the important question. Can you do it? And what are the barriers, right? Um, they are pulling up 10 or 15 million is one of the goals I set in. Almost like $10 million to pull up, hundreds of acres in and around Austin, Texas, because that's where the market is, the booming market is. And then they're just thinking about, okay, we have so many influx coming in every year in the form of students, in the form of H1Bs from Andhra Pradesh. So like it's easy to sell to those people and other people coming from other parts of India. So that has begun. So they're an idea where they can, they're thinking about competing with real estate giants in Texas. That's where their ideas are, and they're able to execute them only, like I said again, they all gather, they all meet, and they all trust each other only in the name of caste, nothing else. Nothing else. I don't support that equation. We could do it differently. We could pull up, like I said, with our trusted friends, and then take small steps. I advise everybody to take small steps. Also, in the United States, there's a good attitude to support small businesses in your local communities. People do support small businesses. So I would definitely say, think about, like I said, if you're a citizen or green card, you can get help from minority areas, women-owned entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses, and I think if you have an idea, it should be. You could start, like I said, you could start out with the basic idea that everybody is doing, and then you can build confidence. You'll know how to operate, right, a business. It's not easy. You'll have payrolls, you'll have insurance, you have to read about the market, What about the stock? What about the expenditure? There's so many aspects of running a business. There are a million tentacles like an octopus to run a business. So I'd definitely say a small start, build confidence. Once you build confidence and when you start investing, you will know. And then you need to, like I said, people with you know similar attitudes and similar thought processes. Partner with them, and then like I said last time, every day the first thing you need to do is Yahoo Finance. Uh, and when you sleep, the last thing you have to do is Yahoo Finance. That's that's like a basis for business in the United States. Yahoo Finance. Yeah, that tab. Last time Mahesh was telling me he does it. I do it all the time. One screen, Yahoo Finance should run on one screen. And then, Reddit. I don't know how many of you are into Reddit, but you have to, get into Reddit. Um, it has a lot of information, real time, peer to peer information. It's Yahoo Finance again. It's an institution, so you get articles, excuse me, from good sources, but also you need to rely on peer to peer information. Twitters, Instagrams. I'll post some people, some pages to follow, and some content to watch online. That will help you trigger ideas. So I'm sure a lot of these, when I was in college, I went to Fairleigh Dickinson University. Even though I wanted to, I was enrolled in a master's in information systems course. I negotiated with my college and they did a lot of marketing. Uh, so in one of the projects, um, I came up with this idea to a professor, and he liked it very much. And he's like, this is a great idea, this is a great business plan, and everything. But he's like, you'll not be able to do it. You should be from a different school, um, backed by different people to make this idea a reality. I was, even though it was a project, I was, I'm a lot interested in financial world and entrepreneurship. So I've went through this idea. Instead of I took the project as my like if I wanted to start a business, what would I do? And what business I would start. So I made up all those plans, and I went to the professor. Um, that was the feedback. So that gave me confidence that I can think like the market, right? Like all the other companies, they are not a lot of the ideas, you and I, we know them. It just says we need to start. So I would say on this Sunday, uh, happy Father's Day to everybody who's a father and to be fathers. Um, and then start doing, start acting, start taking small steps. And together, we should all share ideas. Mahesh, I don't know if you want to have a space to share entrepreneur ideas. We can do that, and we can share each other's thoughts. So that's how we grow. We share our knowledge, we build on that knowledge, and then we grow. So again, thank you everybody for this opportunity. I know I'm not um, Wall Street expert or somebody. These are some of the thoughts and ideas that I have, and the little experiments that I've done, um, both here and in the United States and in India.
Uh, thank you, Teja. That was very helpful, and I'm sure people must have taken inspiration from you, and they will definitely work on it. So, so we'll have a little question and answer session, and
Sure.
I already see two hands raised. You can unmute yourself and ask Mr. Satinath.
Yeah, I just wanted to know um, what is you mentioned something about bank. Is it Smart Bank or what bank did you right in the beginning?
DCU,
Hmm?
Digital Federal Credit Union. Is
Okay.
that in the United? Are you asking about the United States, sir?
Well, I live in New York, so
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, the
and
DFCU that's in Boston, Massachusetts.
now then I want. I was thinking that if you could summarize within 2 minutes or something, whatever suggestions you had,
Sure.
and then if you could write whatever
Yes,
you spoke
I will.
and share with us in the
Yes, sir.
written form,
I
that would
will.
be
I
great.
will. Sorry,
Yeah.
like I said, I was gonna do a presentation. So my parents are here from India. So I'm right now I'm in Washington D.C. I'm not in Michigan. So sorry about that. I was gonna prepare a presentation, but couldn't happen. But I will share an email. I will share everything that I talked about, um, especially the opportunities and different areas where you can look into. I will do that.
Yeah, and can you summarize now within a minute or something, whatever you
I can do that. I can do that.
1 or 2 minutes, whatever. Okay.
Yes, sir. I
Thank-
can do that. Let me answer a few questions and then I'll do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Sorry, I see another hand. Mega.
Hi, Tejah.
Hi.
This is Megha. I did my graduation in production engineering and I had subjects on finance, marketing. I have
Nice.
attended all lectures. And
Nice.
my observation for our community is far away from being practical. That is my observation. Some years
Sure.
back, I have seen one ad. One entrepreneur has launched a soap with name Jai Bhim. So I have watched Shark Tank as well, and I've seen
Nice.
all those entrepreneurs there. They're very practical. They
Exactly.
openly tell
Exactly.
how big network they have, and not just in India, international network.
Yes.
So Namit
Yes.
Thapar, she is daughter of one of the entrepreneur. So she
Mhm.
openly says, if you select me, you will get a huge network.
Mhm.
But our community, if you see entrepreneurs, they don't know network means what exactly. Their
Yeah.
attitude is
Exactly.
like, whatever I would do, that is only business. Like I asked
Okay.
for a home Vihara in one of the
Mhm.
shop, and they were saying me, I have Diksha Bhumi, and you buy that. So I'm saying, listen, I want something like Mumbai, that pagoda is there. It's very beautiful. Or else any
Mhm.
international Vihara is there. That
Mhm.
pretty Vihara I want for home. But
Mhm.
his attitude was like, no, I will only give you this. So
I know.
when you are doing a business, you need to see what customer wants. It
Yes.
is very, very
Exactly.
important. And
Mhm.
it is very basic sense, like when you are launching a product, you need to make that product available in A to Z shops. So when a entrepreneur is launching a soap with JV, and maximum shops Vaishya community has, Banya community has, will they
Mhm.
purchase? Will they buy your
Mhm.
product?
Mhm.
Show it to all the customers? They will not do advertise. Actually, they will not take your product itself in their shop. So how
You're
can you?
dead. You're just dead with the name itself.
So see, brand matters a lot. Even when Tej fintech app has come, very less shopkeepers have taken that Tej, and very less people were also using. But as it was Google's product, but as
Mhm.
Google renamed it as Google Pay, now you see all the shopkeepers and maximum customers are using it. So I think brand matters a lot, and people are
Absolutely.
not ready for the discussion. They don't want any discussion. They just want to do. If they have money, they will do something, and after that they will lose everything, and after that nothing will work. Even some members have opened businesses for groceries and all, but unity is very much required to be in this business. It's not something like
Exactly.
one day you open shop and one day lot of crowd has come, so it is done. No, service is easy, but business
Yeah.
means you need to sustain it every day. Customers will come and you need to satisfy all the customers, otherwise they will go to another shop. So
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely. You're right.
game
It's a.
and play it.
Yep.
That sense is very much required. So when we are going with the name Jebhi by saying like everyone should purchase, that will not happen. And if you see other shops, their name is Lux, Dove. People don't want to learn like why Hindu people are using these names, or why British people are using these names. They are not using any word like Jesus. So we need to learn something from others. Even if Dhirubhai Ambani also, you see, he was not highly educated person, but he knew how to make money, how to satisfy
Yes,
customers.
that's
So this
important. Yes.
little common sense that I feel people are lacking, and they don't want to listen anything. That attitude is really, it
We are,
doesn't work in this world.
we are hardwired, like I said, right? The hardwiring, it's very hard. I've gone through some management trainings at my workplace. So hardwiring is something, it takes a lot of, I would say discussions. Basically, you need a lot of discussions and understand to take this person away from that, hardwiring. Like I said, again, one more point while we're talking, I was thinking that I'd just like to add one more aspect is using the social media for the business. How many of you have seen Facebook business pages, groups, right? You have a Facebook groups and you have WhatsApp groups, you have Instagram pages that run businesses. They run huge businesses, right? Um, one example I'll do is that a lot of my friends, they do in India, they do these clothing business. They sell saris and gagra cholis and all of that through WhatsApp and all of that WhatsApp status. They put status, they put these clothing in the statuses, somebody picks them up. Do you believe none of them have not even one piece of cloth with them? They don't even have one piece of cloth with them. You know how that business works? There is a vendor with a huge warehouse. He sends out pics to all of these people, to individual. These are called last mile persons. So these are the last mile persons. So the vendor, he sends pictures to a bunch of these people. So these guys, they put it in their WhatsApp statuses and share them in the WhatsApp groups. And some of them, they're like, hey, I like this sari, I like this dress, and blah, 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 blah. When all the discussions complete, then this last mile person, then he puts an order to the vendor. Hey, I needed this sari to so and so person. This is the address. They ship it. So they do it. All my friends are making like 10-15% doing that, right? That's a net, that's sharing. I was astonished by that. They're cutting off all of these big box stores and they're selling directly to the customer. Direct to customer is what the big business is. And like you said, right, you have to sell what they want.
Yeah.
And I was observing the sari business and the clothing business. And again, if you want to get into that, you cannot. It's not easy to get in. It's not that easy that these vendors, they are, again, anything in India, like I said, anything comes down to caste. And they are so tied up to that. So tied up to that. But
Thank you,
Megha,
Megha, for that question. And thank you,
Thank you.
Teja, for the answer. And do we have any other questions? You can unmute yourselves.
Hi, this is Sandeep. Thanks, Brother Teja, for such a good talk.
Hey, Sandeep.
I don't have a question. I basically echo with what you're saying, and just some general observations. With our community, the Ambedkarites, and generally, I've seen that within India as well, that we tend to not respect creators of wealth. We don't look to them with awe and inspiration. Most of us are happy with our jobs and cushy jobs and safe jobs, and that's about it. We need to take risks. And one example that I'll share with is, and some people here already know, but it generally isn't as big outside of Punjab, is the Punjabi community, the SC, the scheduled caste community of Punjab. Some of them are Ravidasyas, some of them, they identify themselves as Sikhs, but they all are caste oppressed SC people. They have done very well for themselves in the last 25, 30 years, who have came abroad. US, Canada, UK, your other European countries. And, like some of the examples with my relatives, and we, I work with them together in some projects. What their typical life story journey is, hey, and a lot of them, by the way, are not educated. Some of them only have education up till 12th standard from India. Some of them are 12th dropouts. They came here, hustled, secured their green cards, secured their immigration, and then they just partnered with somebody and bought a gas station or some other store. And then from there on, one gas station led to another one, a third one, a fourth one.
Exactly.
And a lot of them expanded. And which is why this in some way explains the presence of 6 or 7 Guru Vidas temples in the US, because these are the physical spaces, and these are in some areas, like in California, these are in prime spaces worth millions of dollars of properties that have been spent. And where does that money come from? Right? So these people very entrepreneurial, and like you said, they're not thinking about building some digital business as a startup. Simple things that are proven: buy
Exactly.
real estate,
Mhm.
buy a trucking company. You have these trucks that run across the length and breadth of this country. Let's get into those. One of my uncles, he's in Indianapolis, and some of you already know Mr. Shingar Paul. Like the Ganga uncle posted his video where he had a Rolls Royce with Chama written on it. That went viral. So I asked uncle, what's your story? Like, what did you do? So it was so
Mhm.
powerful. He said, okay, beta, what I did, I came here, drove the medallion cab in New York for the longest time, saved money. 2008 recession hit, properties dropped. In 2009, raw wisdom. Here in IT, some of us, those who work in IT, we do all this crazy analysis, business analysis, this analysis, that analysis,
Mhm.
before taking even a smaller step. He, at the time, he was in his mid 40s. He said, okay, prices have dropped. Indianapolis, that whole area
That's
is
the
where a lot of
opportunity.
the
Mhm.
trucking volume is. There is a need for a large truck stop. Let me go there with my savings, see how it is. And he just bought a small piece of land with a partner right
Mhm.
off the highway, bought a truck stop. Guess what? That did well. Then bought a second gas station with a partner, a third. And then his sons grew up. They just branched into their own family business.
See that?
And
Yep. That's the
that's
thing.
the thing, right? And
That's the thing.
the crazy thing is, it's not like they started with a lot of money. As you said, financing opportunities in India, it's a very difficult story. But in the US, financing is available, right? If
Exactly.
you're buying a gas station, you don't have to think about, oh my god, I need $1 million, $1.5 million, or I need even 150 200K. You divide the rest with a bunch of partners. You can take small business loans. And by the way, for us,
Mhm.
small business administration, in addition to already looking at small business loans, minority owned business owners, right? The minority
Exactly.
owner, the business owner tag is big. And then there was one example that I also shared, as speaking of this minority owner tag, a lot of us, especially the Ambedkarites, who work in IT, why don't we look into starting IT staffing companies? Some of them have us, and I had one with my family, and for some time it was very successful. And while we're doing that, we learned that you have, as a minority business owner in this country, a lot of these big corporates, they have a quota to fulfill, so they will
Mhm.
source, they will procure from you.
Yeah.
You just need to get the
Right.
certificate of a diversified minority business owner. If you're a women-owned
Mhm.
business, even better. You go to them, for example, Wells Fargo, such a big bank. They have a big emphasis, just like other Fortune 100 companies, to procure from vendors, whether it is staffing, whether it is temporary resources, contractors as software developers or software testers, business analysts. They will procure from you if you are a certified minority business owner. All you have to
Mhm.
do is pick up some resumes, as you said, right? People are selling on WhatsApp. They don't own any inventory. You
Mhm.
have to look at candidates with the right profile. You talk to them, you do initial screening, you have an LLC, S corp, whatever, and you go present these resumes. You take a cut. Simple arbitrage, right?
Mhm.
This is something that you can do sitting at home with minimal investment, zero investment, really. So
Yep.
we have to hustle, and we have to think about these things, and part of that comes from a motivation to invest in ourselves financially, right? We spend a lot of time reading a mid-grade literature, and even going through this issue fatigue. And I say this as issue fatigue, as cause fatigue, where we see atrocities on our people all the time. it affects our morale, and we spend a lot of time doing that. Now the thing is, a big way we can solve those atrocities, yes, social activism is important, but capital is also a big factor. So we need to generate capital, not just for ourselves, but for the community, right? And in the US, especially abroad, not just US, Canada, UK, other places, we don't have those barriers that Teja, your brother, faced, right? Like my family faced back home in Punjab, setting up these businesses. We had, some of my relatives had very similar experiences, and it was very demotivating. And some of like my relatives, we had no connection. So eventually those businesses shut, leading to demoralization, leading to wasted money, and a lot of those things. But in the,
Yeah, the
like you said,
whole community goes down,
yeah,
right? It's not just one. So one person tries to brave things, and then these happen, and then the whole community again. It's coming back to square one. Like you
yeah,
try to go up, and then you get a slap, and then you just go down even deeper.
exactly. But in the, for us as Ambedkarites abroad, we don't have that restriction, right? Simple things, especially in the US startup land. Um, this IT staffing is a very good idea, and is something that is doesn't take a whole lot of effort or investment. Simple arbitrage, no, not much effort required, right? And if somebody is interested, please reach out to me. I can help you with some of that, because I did that with my family for some time. There's so many ideas, right? Like gas station is something, what my uncle did. Simple raw wisdom, not nothing starting from scratch, and he did that. But there are so much opportunities sitting here. If somebody is good with emotional management, you could look into options trading, right? It's risky, but again, the returns are very high. um, the only thing is, we just have to look for additional streams of income. You build wealth not by cutting down on some grocery bill or buying some cheap clothes.
Mhm.
You never will get wealthy by cutting down your expenses. You will get wealthy by increasing your sources of income. And we have to take a risk and do that. If we don't do that, then it's we are also going to be in the same, essentially the same state. Like, yes, we came abroad, but unless we have a big step up,
Well,
we're looking into a net worth into millions, we won't be able to do a lot of things that we really want to do. Like, think
yeah,
about when we talk about getting some collection, and this is just my general observation. For some of our community projects, right, sometimes we get the money right away, but sometimes we struggle. And that is what, because we are not at par with some other communities who people will just write a check for $500,000, 150K, 500K routinely, right? uh, just compare that with
and they write it
ours.
off, and they write it off
Yeah,
in their businesses.
they
Yeah,
write it
there's
off.
just so many. There's so many nuances to business. A lot of people, you see South Indian films. I don't know if you observed, but you see South Indian films doing so big, a lot of budgets. You know where the money comes from? A lot of it is made by you and me through consulting in the United States, right? They make the money here, they move it to India, they make movies which are not successful. Some of them are only very less percentage, and then the losses are written off here in the United States. So you got to think about the whole spectrum, and you got to think about a lot of things that can happen through that. The lot of donations they write off, right?
Yeah,
So many. They do a lot of things. I know they're ahead of the game, but like Sandeep said, a good point. You need to learn. We all need to learn from them. We all need to observe. You need to follow them. You need to observe them. You can do it a little differently if they're only giving 1% as a bonus. You could give 10% as bonus to your employees and make a social equity, right? You could do business differently, but we do not want to reinvent the wheel right now. We want to follow the people who have already done that successful. Just you follow them. Like I said, I give one last example, and I'll shut up. Again, McDonald's and Burger King. McDonald's did all the hard work. Burger King just set up shop across McDonald's. That's it. So I'd always use that analogy. I'll always bring back that example for us to. We do not need to reinvent the wheel.
Yep. I agree.
Thank you, Sandeep, and thank you, Teja, for that wonderful discussion. Anyone else has any questions?
Okay, if not, I'll just say in conclusion that um, I'll send out, I'll draft this information. I'll spin up some ideas and send it out to Maheshji, and then he can share it with everybody else. But please do think about having a common space. I know Mahesh very well, so I keep telling his name, but all of us, we should think about a common space for discussion. Whatever the group could be, we need to think, we need to discuss, we need to be motivated. Motivation is not easy. It's not always self-driven. You can take motivation from other people. There's no harm or bad thing in that. But we need to keep these discussions going on, so that one person at a time, we can start having one person, one step. That's how we do it. That's how I do it in my organization, Moving Minds India Foundation. My aim is to pull out one family at a time out of poverty through training, education. That's what I do back home. So thank you everybody for this time.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, I was wondering about the possibility of starting something like bank. They call it a credit union here on a smaller scale. Call it say Dalit Credit Union, and then a lot of Dalits who are here in the US could save their money in that credit union, and that could facilitate people here as well as in India. Something like that. Is it?
Yeah.
How much money it costs? How much money you have to deposit in order to start a bank?
I'm not aware of the numbers, sir. But one idea I would definitely say is that we have to do business as general always. Like sorry, Meg. I think Meg. She was telling us. We have to do business as general, cater for larger people, and then when you get the gains, use it most for our community. That's how we need to play the game.
But if you don't identify yourself as Dalit, it may be taken over by the non-Dalits, and then they would use it for their own purpose. So there are advantages as well as disadvantages in identifying your identity and proclaiming your identity. So
yes, I definitely see that. We do that happens with the black-owned businesses. I've observed that black-owned businesses, they do specifically say they are black-owned, like black women-owned entrepreneurs. And yes, United States, you have a lot of community support for such. But for us, I would definitely say that we are not in a force. For example, I would say, the California bill, right? The California bill, as we are seeing, the amount of power and the opposition that we're receiving, because that's at the federal level that has sustained. But when it comes to business, they can make our lives even harder to get through. So I think we are in the United States, we're still in the initial stages to call ourselves a specific community business, only because we don't have that volume yet. Once you have, because for African Americans, they have that volume, right? They have that volume to name it. And then one important piece of observation is, sir, there's a difference between in the United States and India. Sorry, between the African American community and Indian Dalits. The difference is that the African American communities are supported by white people. They support them um, um, in their in their sad sickness. They support them in their happiness, and they also support them all around. For Indian Dalits, I don't think that's there yet. I don't think there is an all-round support that we can gather, and that's my observation. That's a big difference I've observed between African Americans and us. So for some time, I think we should still continue our thought process, but we can get there. Please go ahead.
We can get a lot of support from American whites and from blacks. So the word Dalit is kind of known by everybody, and many people may be supportive of the Dalit owned enterprise here in the US. Yeah.
Sure. But I'll research on your question, sir, to set up, because that's one of the things that I've been in many discussions with many people that I was is setting up a financial institution that can serve. But I'll try to gather some information on that.
Thank you. You didn't summarize your whole presentation in 1 minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Just to summarize, I would say that, like Sandeep and I and everybody is discussing, there's only one thing, sir, that we need to do, like as a community, is we need to start taking small steps, and we need to trust. You need to gather with your trusted people, pull up investments, and then start taking small steps. That's my basic principle. But when you take a step, always think about the products or areas or avenues, anything that you're already are aware of, or you're already using, or you're already experienced of, right? A lot of people might have so many ideas, but they don't have their hands on into that area of business. So I would say, to begin with, do not do all of that. I would say use small steps, stock market, basic stock markets, anything basic businesses to start off. And then always think about breaking even. And then once you break even, once you reach your target of breaking even, then you can start thinking about making more money out of it. The basic fundamental principles that I would say. And always do not hesitate to take credit. Always think about ways to take credit in a smarter way to start
Okay.
businesses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teja, for that answer.
Thank you, Nikhil. Mhm.
I think we are done with the questions. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. So yeah, I think we can conclude today's session. Thank you, Teja, for that wonderful talk, and I am sure that many of our budding entrepreneurs have learned a lot today.
Yep. Again, thanks for the opportunity. I've shared my number in the chat. If anybody wants to discuss, I'm all up for discussing, and then we can make some, maybe we can build trust pretty fast, and we
Sure.
can start investing.
Yes.
So please reach out to me. That's my number.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, I think it is time to conclude our